What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that you could have taken today, how you would play today, and the game plan going into tomorrow. So this is what we look like today. Right off of open, again, the 30-minute chart tells you the bigger picture. This just tells us how to trade the 0-day charts. I'm usually never taking trades solely off of the 30-minute unless it's like a 30-minute 50 bounce or a 30-minute 50 reject. That's like the only times where you're not taking entries on the 0-day chart, and you don't even have to play the 30-minute. You could literally just play the 0-day chart and just wait for that extra confirmation. Let's say if we're playing like a reject on the 30-minute and the in this case puts are crossed, and then, you know, if we reject that 30-minute 50 on puts, that means then the puts would go negative, and that would confirm the rejection. That's like two ways you could play it: either buy the immediate rejection off of it, or you wait for the side that you're rejecting off of to go negative on the 5-minute. So that's pretty much a simple way to put it. That's how we gauge our entries. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, 0-day chart. Like maybe 10% I'll go off of like the actual 30-minute, but usually I like to wait for that extra confirmation to take those types of trades. But this is what we look like right off of open. So again, if you guys watched yesterday's video, I told you guys exactly what was going to happen and what I favored. We gapped down a little bit, or no, I don't even know if we did gap down. We might have actually opened green, maybe slightly red, but I told you guys, if we get a dip, it's going to get bought up. I told you it was going to happen, and I'll go over that in a minute on why you know, I thought that. I went over it yesterday, but I'll go over it again. But first off, this is what we look like off of open. So if we look here, the 30-minute chart right off of open, we ended up closing right below this 50 SMA. And this chart was going negative. Most likely, we're going to see a move higher, but we actually just popped right back up, rejected, and then went higher. So it was a little bit choppier action. And if we just look at the higher time frames, I mean, you know, they're pretty bullish right now because the puts are all, you know, every time frame went negative today. And if we look at the higher time frames on the call side, we're probably more bullish. If we look here on the daily, actually no, there's nothing on the daily on this chart. It's a little bit of a weird spot just because the weeklies here. It did go negative on the 4-hour, but you know, this already gave a solid move right here, so this could easily pop back up and recross on the 4-hour or something like that. What is key for tomorrow is this 30-minute chart. This 30-minute chart is so key. We need this to go and cross to flip us bullish. I'm pretty sure these are the right contracts, right? Actually, no. These might be these are actually the wrong contracts, I think. Hold up. Do we have the right ones right now? 5.9. This is supposed to be the 600s. My bad. This is supposed to be the 600s. I had a feeling that chart was a little off, but again, super key chart tomorrow. Futures are up right now, but you know, I would favor this to go in. Actually, again, I'm on the wrong chart. What am I doing, man? Holy God! It's supposed to be the 600s right here. Yeah, so 600s right here. This is what we're looking like on the 30-minute. Finally got it right, but this is such a key chart for tomorrow. If this goes and crosses, this is going to be very, very key. We need this chart to go and cross for the bulls to continue this move higher, because we did close at a very key spot. I'm trying to look at the higher time frames right now. Yeah, I mean, this chart to go negative on the 4-hour, I'm not too worried about it, but this chart right here, this 50 SMA could cause some resistance. You know, it's no clear direction at the moment just because we aren't crossed. But if we do get this 30-minute to cross and the market flips bullish, that'd be great. I'm going to be focused on the long side. And again, you know, what do we look for in that case? We look for 0-day cross on calls, 50 dip on calls. If this rejects and we gap down tomorrow, which I don't know, I don't think that's going to happen because futures are green. Last time I checked, they were up like 150 points, 100 points, something like that. So we'll see how we open up tomorrow. But again, if let's say this rejects, okay, market's still neutral, 0-day cross either side of the premium, and negative cross either side of the premium. Recently, I haven't really been playing the negative crosses. I've just been focusing on the 0-day crosses. I just feel like that gives you the best opportunity when it comes to the system. You know, that's, in my opinion, the most probable trade is just that 0-day cross, 0-day positive cross, and that's kind of what I've been sticking towards. I haven't taken that many trades recently on SPY. I did close NVIDIA out today for a loss, and I did close TEM, and I closed Hood for break even. I didn't give Hood, but I gave TEM and NVIDIA in the Discord. TEM we played a few times, overall net green, but the last trade that we did take on it ended up getting stopped out on today. So, you know, it is what it is. We did chop a little bit last week, so that kind of did kill the contracts. But, you know, again, you know, I just was a little bit early. I, you know, loaded it up a little early on NVIDIA. The contract change kind of screwed us because we ended up dropping lower. Chart was still valid today, but I just decided to cut it. I'm just going to cut everything I have and just start fresh. And next trade we see, we're going to hammer it. So, yeah, not too worried about those two. If we look here, I forgot to go over what we did today. I kind of went in reverse order today. I went with the recap or the plan for tomorrow first, and then we're going over the trades for today. So this is what we looked like here off open on the call side. So we had the 596s. I didn't take any trades on futures today, so I didn't play any of these crosses. So right here, 10 went above the 50. Again, though, like right here was a like sketchy chart. So 10 went above the 50. It probably didn't cross until like this 10-15, 10-20 candle. And this is where like I'm not like chasing these types of moves because I know the market is neutral. And yes, I do still favor higher, but you know, recently the action hasn't been the greatest. So like I'm not like too eager to get into a trade. So you know, we did dip down the 10 SMA right here. I think Colton posted what this actually looked like in real time. I'm gonna try and find it real quick, but you know, I didn't take this. If you did, you would have stopped out for a really small loss because the 50 actually ended up turning down somewhere in this area, so you really wouldn't have, you know, taken much of a loss. And NQ is stronger. I know that. I know Colton stopped at break even, I believe, on this. So yeah, right here, this is what we looked like. I'm gonna pull up Colton's chart that he sent in the Discord. Personally, I sat out of this, but this is what we looked like. If I pull this over, you could see that this 50 actually ended up turning down a little bit. You know, if you wanted to take the entry, just buy at the 10 and just use a stop below the 10 SMA at this point, because most likely if this did break below the 10, with how we've been moving, it's probably going to break below the 50. And by the time that, you know, pulls back to the 50 is probably going to slope down and whatnot. So I know the 50 did end up turning down. But you know, on days like today, just use your 10 SMA as that risk. If you bought at the 10 right here, you literally would have closed at break even because it's closed right here on the contract. So if you bought the 10, which was like 212, it literally closed at like 211, 210. So and NQ was stronger, so you still would have been in the green if you played NQ futures. For SPY options, you would have been pretty much break even on that. So you know, the 50 was a little, it was in between of like curling up and curling down, or being flat, I mean. So you know, if you took that and you took an L, that's nothing to be mad about. It was a valid trade. We're getting a cross on the 0-day chart. You know, some days are going to be like this, and the good thing about these trades though is that they're super small losses. Like on NQ is a bit stronger today, so you still would have been green on this position. If anything, you close that at break even. So you know, recently the losses have been really small, and right here you would have been like, oh, we got the 10 SMA reclaim. Right here though, you got to understand this 10 SMA is sloped down still quite a bit, and I always go over this. When we get that reclaim and the 10 SMA is still sloped down, I usually wait for it to flatten out a bit before taking any entries. So if you were playing this reclaim, I wouldn't have taken it. You know, we did get this closure above right here, again, the 10 and the 50, but again, this 10 SMA is just not flat at all. It's still sloped down a bit, and with how we've been moving, I would not be, you know, front running this and taking this reclaim. This negative cross worked out nicely, but again, recently, I'm not taking negative crosses, and especially with how the 30-minute chart looked, it looked more bullish than bearish. So again, I'm sitting out of that move, and then we ended up getting this cross right here. But again, the move was too drastic in my opinion to even take an entry, because by the time we actually crossed, the SMAs were probably crossed at like this 1340, what is that, 140 candle. So again, it's pretty extended from the 10 and the 50. Wouldn't have taken this either. You know, it just chopped around a bit, and you know, again, if you bought this 10 SMA dip, you would have been closed at break even again if you were just trailing the 10 SMAs. So is what it is. You know, not the best day in the world when it comes to futures. So that's how you would have played today, and just like what I was thinking throughout the day, because a lot of times it's more than just watching this chart. It's kind of just, you know, recognizing where the market's going, or like how we've been moving, and just waiting for the really good setups to come. And there's nothing wrong with taking this cross right here. It's a good setup, I'm not gonna lie at all. Like with how we looked, you know, I definitely would, you know, favor this trade playing out. It just didn't. I didn't even take this just because how the 50 looked, it just wasn't, you know, I just didn't like it that much. Like it's hard to explain, but the 50 really wasn't sloped up too much. You could see it curled down a little bit right here, and that's where you would have cut it. So if anything, you just either just get out when the 50 curls down, or just wait for this 10 SMA to get closed below, then you close it. So that's pretty much how you play today. If anything, you're red for a tiny bit. again, you don't have to slap every trade the system gives. That's something you got to understand. You don't need to take every trade the system gives. It doesn't mean if you take every single trade the system gives, you're probably honestly not going to do well because you're not being selective in the trades. You want to be, honing in on one really good setup for the day. And if you do that, you will, get some good trades. Again, 0-day cross on the 0-day chart is always my go-to. Like, that's what I'm looking for mostly throughout the day. The negative crosses, yes, they also work, but in my opinion, I just like playing the crosses more than the negative crosses. So, yeah, if I'm like super bullish and like the puts go negative, then I'll take it. But on a day like today where we're just moving back and forth weirdly, then I'm not gonna force anything. So, yeah, that's what we did today. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. All the trades are shared over there. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.